about what we were doing. To answer your question as to the history of asbestos, asbestos actually began, they actually discovered it around the beginning of the last century, which was around 1900. It was discovered in England when in some factories somebody saw that the employees were starting to get sick when dealing with this product. Asbestos, as you know, is a long fiber, is a long crystal fiber that gets stuck into the lungs, and of course it causes serious cancer. But it was only banned in the United States until 1989. In that process, of course, a lot of people got very sick. And Owens Corning, that makes fiberglass, for example, Owens Corning was one of the companies that kind of hid. I don't want to say they actually did it on purpose, but they kind of kept that message. You know, they would promote asbestos, but they would not promote the fact that it causes an illness. Until 1989, when the EPA decided to come out and say, you know, asbestos is bad, is publicly announced it, and that's when consumers started taking action, because you could find asbestos in a lot of products. You could find asbestos you could find it in buildings and in drywalls and in roofs and in ceilings and in pipes, and you could find it in crayons, and you could find it in toys, and you could find it literally everywhere. If you had die-cast toys, if you had lead toys, that was the other thing that was a hot issue back then. So society as a whole saw the fruits of asbestos, but society as a whole paid the price.
Can you also explain to me how asbestos has impacted the health industries and the industries in the USA in general?
Well, asbestos since 1989, since they began to hold hearings and everything, asbestos causes a very serious disease. Let's start with that. The form of cancer that a person of lung cancer is called mesothelioma. And mesothelioma is a lung cancer in which the current survival rate is anywhere between 5 and 10%. So in other words, most people that get this cancer die. Because of that, that is a very costly treatment. The other problem with that is that people last sick for a very long time, because people that have been infected with asbestos or with with this cancer-causing agent, usually will be sick. They can easily be sick for up to 20 years and not know that they're sick with lung cancer.
So this is something that you're
that can affect you now and gradually hit you 20 years down the road. Therefore, while you're in treatment for one thing or the other, that all costs money, and all of those patients have been in long litigation processes because they only found out 10 or 15 years after they had it. So that alone has affected the health industry as far as cost is concerned. The other thing is that if we look at the global picture of asbestos it was in every single country in the world. The global picture, the amount of money spent in the United States in asbestos, the problem here, the exposure is somewhere around between $200 and $275 billion. Now, that's an enormous amount of money to deal with. Because of the time frame that it takes to expose asbestos, there have been something around 500,000 cases that have come up so far. Of those 500,000 cases, only about 200,000 have gone into litigation, and about 50,000 go to trial every year. If you look at the cost of those trials, and this is all affecting the health industry, and this is all, where's all this money coming from? The government is paying for this money, but this money is clearly coming out of taxpayers' money, taxpayers' pockets, excuse me. The cost, typically the person that goes into litigation and settles with an asbestos producing company outside of the court will get about $1 million. Roughly $1 million. However, the person that goes into trial typically will get paid around 6 times that much, so $6 million. So let's take that, for the last 10 or 15 years, we've had about 50,000 cases presented to the courts. If you take only 50% of those 50,000 cases, if you take 50% of those 50,000 cases and you translate into dollars, at roughly $6 million, you're talking about $150 billion worth of trial cases that have been approved by the government.
Wow, that's a lot.
So that's a lot of money.
Yeah, that is a lot. That's a lot of money. How much does it cost for treatment, would you say? Like just estimation-wise, how much would you think it would cost for treatment?
The cost of a complete, well, let me put it this way. The combined cost of drugs for one treatment is approximately $4,000, anywhere between $4,000 and $5,000. This is the cost of the drug for one treatment.
And you know this for a fact, or is this?
No, this is information. Mm-hmm. Yeah. The problem here is that it's not just one treatment that one patient takes. Mm-hmm. A patient may take multiple treatments. Mm-hmm. And so what happens is that the cost of one treatment goes anywhere from $4,000 to $6,000, let's say, but you got to give the patient 10, 15 treatments. You're already talking $40,000. Now, the complete course, the complete gene therapy treatment, okay, for mesothelioma can range anywhere between $150,000 and $1 million.
Each treatment?
Each complete gene therapy, 1,000 are still in litigation. Mm-hmm. Of those, you have 50,000 are coming up every year into trial because, of course, the litigation is won and somehow, or is not won and winds up in a trial in a court in front of a judge. This has an enormous impact on the U.S. society to the point where there are some forecasts right now that say that by the time all is said and done, the mesothelioma cases and cases with asbestos will have added up to $1 trillion in the United States. Now, let's suppose that we were to end because of whatever law came out that said, okay, we're going to end all these cases right here and now, and everybody that had problems with asbestos is going to get paid this and that. Well, that would easily add up to another $1 trillion to the already $9 trillion we have in debt in this country. That would have a significant impact in the health industry and what we pay for health insurance here. So, yeah, go ahead, sorry.
Is that it? Well, would you say that do benefits actually outweigh the cost?
No, no way.
Never?
No way. Even though we now have taken off the products off the shelf, crayons don't have asbestos, children are protected, consumers don't buy products containing asbestos. Contractors don't know how to work with asbestos, they know not to work with asbestos, and they know how to get rid of it. And all those benefits combined, so if we would have had the same rules back then that we have now, then I would say, okay, the benefits of not having it, because asbestos has had a great positive impact on humanity. Asbestos is heat retardant product. Okay. It is very strong. It is a very good insulator, and what happens is that it has allowed mankind to develop new products as a result of that. However, it has paid a price for that. So now that we have to sit down and weigh the cost versus the benefits, you're going to say, wait a minute, this has cost me $1 trillion, not counting the lives that it's taken. Okay. In addition to that, plus versus what the products that we've gotten, which have been made by a group of companies for a group of people, I don't think that the benefits outweigh the cost. I don't.
What happens to the asbestos that is removed?
Well, contractors know more about this than me. I know that asbestos has to be removed, and you got to dress up like if you were a Martian. You got to dress up in this white hazmat suit or whatever color they are, but they're hazmat suits, and you have duct tape around your hand, and you can't have any contact, any skin contact or any respiratory contact with it. So everything's got to be covered, and it goes in boxes or in containers or whatever it is. I'm not the expert at that, but I know that that's the way it works. It's just something that people actually get sick. It could be in a drywall, and people can feel it. Somebody that's very susceptible to that can feel it. So, that's it.